Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. It looks like everyone that's been in the waiting room is going to start funneling in. Welcome to our product webinar. I was telling Todd this morning, when we plan out these championship webinars or these champions webinars, in collaboration with our product team with Todd, I said like it would be really cool if like once a quarter, at the beginning of each quarter, we have like a product webinar. And when we first said that back in January, thinking, oh man, it's going to be a long time before we have another product webinar. But here we are, April 2025. So the year is just flying by. But thank you so much for joining us. We're going to let people kind of trickle in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Just a little bit of ground rules first before I really turn the time over to Todd and let him kind of go through what we've done and what's in the works. Just wanted to mention we have a Q&A session or part of this webinar that's baked in at the end. I don't know how long this first portion is going to take. I would imagine anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. And we'll make sure at the end to have questions, answer any questions that you may have. With that said, down at the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A section. So make sure throughout the webinar, if there are any questions that you have, please throw your questions in there. We'll make sure to get them at the end, or you can save your questions for the end, whatever's easiest for you. But we have a lot to cover, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions that kind of come up. We do have Meg on the back end. She's one of our customer success managers. She will be answering questions as well throughout the webinar. And so please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to throw them in there. We have some active participation as part of this webinar as well. So we're going to have some interactive polls, some questions that we may ask you. So we would love your participation and your help as we're kind of talking about Clientbook and our roadmap and what we're doing. So without further ado, Todd, let's go ahead. Let's take it away.
It's great to be with you all again. I love interacting with you one by one and in group settings. So this is really exciting to be able to give you a quick update. We're going to cover a couple things, some of the things that have recently changed. We're just kind of picking and choosing some of the highlights. There's lots and lots of changes that are happening all the time, but some of the things that you might be interested in or may have missed and we want to make sure that you know about. So with that, we'll go into some of the things that have recently changed. So first, our wonderful CS team has worked really, really hard to update all of our training videos. So this is a constant work in progress because the product continues to evolve and to change and to improve, but our videos were getting kind of out of date. So we overhauled all of the videos and they're all new and they're available now in the web app and in the mobile app. So you can access those videos. You can tell your team about them. It might be a good time to refresh on training people on Clientbook. So these are available right now.
Cool. If I could just, a couple of things I'll mention about these videos is there's different sections of them, right? So there's going to be training videos for admins and managers and for the associates. So on kind of the day-to-day work. We've also included videos on the dashboard version of Clientbook, which that was missing in our previous training videos. So you'll see a section, in the screenshot, for example, there's a section for in-app training. So how to utilize Clientbook on your app. There's going to be training on how to utilize Clientbook on the dashboard. And then again, we've added a lot of training videos for admins and managers as well. So if you want to learn how to do a tag upload or how to really configure Clientbook on the back end, we've updated all those videos, or not even updated, we've added those videos into the platform for everyone to utilize. So
cool. Yeah, we're excited for you to become more expert. All right, the next big release, you might have been part of the beta for reporting. Reporting is now out, and we've also included a new associate performance report. So where a lot of our reports are focused on sales attribution, things that Clientbook is doing in automations and things like that, the associate performance report is really about activity. What are the things that are happening in the app? So we'll track things like the reminders that are out there, the reminders that are completed, messages that have been sent, all the things that an associate can do in the app. We're trying to track there and give you a sense for who's using the app, who's having the most success, who might need a little bit of help. And so that's available and out there for everyone to take a look at. The next thing that's out, you also may have been part of the beta for this, but our Google and Facebook integrations are live for everyone. You can go set it up in the integrations page. If you need help with that, reach out to support or your CSM, and we'll help you get that set up. We are also basically wrapped on Instagram. We need to go through an approval process, but more about that later. This is a new thing around the kind of client history, specifically with regard to sales transactions. So previously, we would list all the sales transactions that would come through the point of sale, but it was kind of ambiguous if this was a repair or a sale or even a return. And so we've added labels now to all of the transactions as they come in. And so you can see if this was a sale or a return, etc. So this will be available if you go to the activity tab on a client profile. And it's also available if you're using our AI insights on our elite package. When you receive an AI insight, you can click more info to see their purchase history and recent messages, and we include it there as well. So this is available for anyone that has a point of sale integration that is sending us transaction types. We will show these in the product. Next up is some polish that we've done on associate assignments. So we made a very big change to associate assignments at the beginning of the year. A lot of stuff changed. And one of the things that we changed that was not a good idea was we removed the little bookmark icon to make it really easy to assign yourself. We moved associate assignments into the more detailed page, and we got a lot of feedback. Where did the button go? So we've put the button back. We've also added the ability to see very quickly who it's assigned to. Since clients can only be assigned to one associate at a time now, we show you who they're assigned to, make it really easy for associates to claim unassigned clients and to, unassign themselves if they want to not be the assigned associate. And so that's available on web and mobile. It wasn't really even available in web to begin with. So now it's really easy in one tap to be able to assign and unassign yourself from a client. We also maintained the functionality that we had before where you go drill in, you can see and change the associate assignment. And just a reminder that if a client is already assigned to an associate, other associates can't steal that client. And if they wanted to change associate assignments, they need to go to a manager who has permissions to change associate assignments.
Yeah. And if I could just add a little caveat to that as well, that with this new enhancement, you do have the ability to follow conversations. That's a little bit different than it was before, right? So in this scenario, right, let's say I'm assigned to Todd and another sales associate, Meg, wants to contact Josh or be in the know, follow a conversation, just be notified when Josh messages into the platform. Meg doesn't necessarily have to go in and unassign Todd and assign herself to the profile to stay in the know. She can simply go to the client's inbox and follow that conversation. So anytime I message in, both Todd and Meg can receive those notifications, right? So when it comes to those assignments, right, yeah, you have one assigned associate per client now. And if you need to be reassigned, or if that client needs to be assigned to you, you do need a little bit of manager's help, but you can still follow conversations, get in the know, have those notifications without necessarily being assigned.
Yep. Cool. All right. Let's move on to the next one. So now we want to talk about stuff that has recently been released, but is not available to everyone, but is available kind of if you raise your hand and say that you want access to it. So we'll go over a couple of these things and want to make you aware to be able to reach out to us if you want to participate in any of these betas. So the first one is Instagram. So we're submitting to Instagram for approval, and we'll be ready to have people join the beta on Instagram. The way Instagram will work is just like the other channels, they'll all show up in the inbox, and you'll be able to have conversations over DM with people on Instagram. They can find you on Instagram, send you a message, it'll show up in Clientbook. Instagram has some rules around a time window where you can respond. So you have 7 days to respond to a message. And anytime someone messages in, it resets that clock. So we're really excited to have this integration out, and we'll be sure to let you know. And we'd love to hear from you if you want to join the beta to help us get it ready for everybody else. Okay, the next one is one that we've been hearing a lot about. As leaders in your stores, you want to make sure that you maintain a high level of customer service. And one of the ways that you can do that is to know how many clients have sent us a message that we haven't seen. No one's looking at it, no one's responding to them. And so we've added a new way to track this and to be alerted so that customers don't fall through the cracks. So basically the way this is set up is it's on a per store basis. So you set a threshold for the time that you're willing to let a message go unread before you want to be alerted about it. So you set that up in the store settings page, and then you can also set for each store who you want to be notified. It might be you for every time, or you might have a manager in one store and someone else in a different store that you want to be notified. So you choose the time and you choose who it goes to. And then once that happens, as messages start to come in, we will flag them when they've gone past the threshold that you've set, and we'll send you an email, and we'll share, here's how many unread messages there are, here's what they are, and you can drop into the inbox, and you'll get one of these per store that you have in your business. So we're really excited about that. One other small note is we wanted to be sensitive that you're not getting these messages at 2 a.m. Saying, hey, there's unread messages. And so while we will track when they're overdue around the clock, you'll only receive alerts during your store business hours. And so it'll be important to set your store hours to when you want to be receiving these messages. So we're really excited for this one. We hope it will really raise the bar for your associates and give you more visibility into the customers that need attention.
Perfect. And if I could just little thing, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I do think it's related as well. I feel like this feature maybe slipped a little bit under the radar, so I want to make sure everyone is aware as well. One enhancement that we made to the store hours that we've heard a lot about was, if my store is closed on Sundays, I don't want to send an automated clean and check reminder or a birthday or anniversary, right? I don't want any auto messages to go out on days that my business is closed. If you have those store hours set, we won't send any auto messages on those days. So for example, if you're closed Sunday and Monday and you have those store hours set within your store settings, our system won't send any messages, any automated messages on Sundays and Mondays for you, right? So that was an enhancement that came out a little while ago, and I just want to make sure everyone was aware of that if you don't have your store settings set, I would strongly encourage getting those store settings set, so that way, again, when you're automatically sending out those birthday or anniversary or those clean and check messages, you're not sending those messages on days that you're closed, right? Because the last thing you want is to someone get a clean and check message and they drive to your store and then the store is closed, right? So having that ability to not send those messages on days that you're closed is an enhancement that I want to make sure everyone is aware of as well.
I'm glad you called attention to that.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, another one we want to introduce you to and see who wants to be part of this is, I mentioned previously that we did an overhaul to reports to make them more simple, more clear on ROI, more clear on details that you can drive into, to know what Clientbook is doing for your business. But you're busy and you don't always make time or set time to go check out the reports. And so we want to introduce an email that we'll send out to you that will bring that data to your inbox. So you can keep a sense of the pulse of your business in Clientbook and know what's going on at a really frequent interval. So like every month, this email will go out. It will have sales attribution data. It will have clienteling metrics around messages that are being sent and so forth. And then it will also have marketing metrics around things like mass messages. And it will tell you what your current month is and then your year-to-date total to really give you a sense for what's going on. We are doing some early testing with this with a few select clients. So we're really interested if this is something that would be valuable to you. We want to hear about it and make sure we include you in the test phase of this.
Yeah. So I think that actually goes into our first poll.
Yep.
So kind of going back to this personalized scorecard, I would love to for my team. Oops, I don't think I needed to exit out. 1 second. Sorry. If I'm a little bit slow this morning, I'm going to keep using this as an excuse for as long as I possibly can. But my wife and I just welcomed our second daughter, and she did not sleep well last night, which means I didn't sleep well last night. Okay,
Oh, man.
perfect. So I just threw that scorecard on there, and so we'll open this up for the next minute or so if you want to go ahead and answer that question. Again, this is a little bit in those early stages, so we'd also love a little bit of your feedback as well. But we'd love to at least kind of get something to you, and yeah, just understand is this valuable to you, and having this as like an automated way that like we send this to you and you can review it, and if you have any questions, right, you'll be able to contact your CSM. We can go in more depth about that, all that fun stuff. So yeah, great responses. Thank you guys so much for participating. We'll go ahead, keep it open for 5 more seconds. And cool, there we go.
All right. So we've talked about stuff that's available for everyone. We've just finished talking about things that are going into beta that people can choose to opt into to be part of early access. And now, as we kind of come to the last chapter, we want to talk about things that we're thinking about building, things that we're hearing from you, things that we want to learn more about, things that we are in design on. And so I'm going to share a few ideas for things that we want your input on. So these are potential projects. We're not certain if we're going to do them. We're not certain when we're going to do them, but we want to understand more about it so that we can be prepared to build these things. So these are the 4 topics that I brought today that I would love some input and feedback on. We're going to have another poll in a minute where you can opt in to giving your feedback about which ones matter the most to you. And then if you would be willing to sit down with me and talk about one or more of these features. So these 4 things are adding files to clients. I'll describe a little bit about what we mean here. So today you have the ability in a collection to like create a product. And for a lot of people, that's very problematic because usually they aren't products. People will take a snapshot of something that is an inspiration for a piece. It might be a product, but a lot of times it isn't. And once we create a product, now it's in the product catalog for everyone to see and can kind of create noise. A lot of times you're just wanting to get some inspiration together to put in a collection. Plenty of times you're sending products, and that's awesome. Like, you know, do you want this or that? And people can choose. But a lot of times you're earlier in the process and you might want to be talking about ideas or styles or inspiration that you want. And really those aren't products. So creating files and putting them in collections can be another way for you to coordinate and communicate and build a relationship with your customer to help them get what they want. Secondarily, when someone comes into the store or there's a repair intake or there's some sort of other activity that you do with clients, you can log activities in Clientbook, and many of them you can put a note on them, but you can't put files. And so we've had a lot of requests to be able to, you know, take a picture of something as someone brings it into the store, or you know, all sorts of ideas there. So adding files to clients is the topic, and we're really interested in it. We want to talk about it. The second one is appointment requests. If you're running an event or really just in the normal course of business and clienteling, you're having conversations, you're trying to get people into the store, and many of you are tracking appointments somehow, whether that's in an Excel file or on sticky notes or in your calendar or other things. We're looking at adding the ability to have people request appointments, for you to be able to set up appointments, to be able to track who has an appointment, and be able to assign those to different associates. So we're really interested in this topic and would love feedback on it. The next one is around kiosk. So specifically the enhancements that we're looking at for kiosk is right now, kiosk is awesome. It's, could be an iPad on the counter that you can have people put their information in. You can do it on your phone and hand them your phone. But one of the things that you can't really do with kiosk is you can't have them do it on their device. And so we're looking at ways to enhance and make it easier for you to capture people who walk to your store and then walk out without buying anything, be able to capture information about them more easily. So we're looking at providing QR codes that a customer on their own device can put in their information, get it assigned to the right person, get it into Clientbook without having to use a shared iPad or using the associate's device. We have some other ideas here too, but that's kind of the basic idea, is making it really easy. Another thing for this is like an associate can print out their QR code and say like, this is my QR code. So if I have a customer snap a picture of this QR code, they can put in their information and it will go right to me. So they can use that outside of the store. They can post that on different places and have more ways to get customer information into their hands so that conversation and relationship can start. So that's enhanced kiosk. And then finally, out of office reply. So Josh mentioned earlier, like auto messages going out outside of store hours. And we have an auto response when the store is closed, but that only works when everyone is gone. Sometimes there's one associate that's out in Jamaica for 2 weeks, or they're just working in a different place, or they're, for whatever reason, they won't be available to answer messages. But those messages come directly to them. So no one else is seeing them. And there's an opportunity to miss messages. So we're looking at ways to make that easier for customers to get the help they need, or at least to know what's going on when their assigned associate is not available and working that day. So those are the 4 that we want to interview everyone about. If you're interested in any of those 4, we'd love your feedback. In fact, we want you to kind of help us to know what's most important to you. So Josh is going to start another poll, and we're really interested in which things are most important to you.
Perfect. So again, don't blame me if the poll ends up incorrect, because I'm sleep deprived. But you should have the ability, right? You have the 4 topics and you get to choose, you stack rank it like, this is my number 1, this is my number 2. Yeah, regretfully, I don't think you can mark this is rank 1 for all of them. If you can, that's my mistake. But we're here, we're happy, and we're doing good. So we'll give you guys a little bit more time on this one because it is a lot. The second question that is asked, so and Todd was actually kind of one that brought this up, right? So over the years, like we have a really good cohort of, merchants that we talk to on a frequent basis, right? To get input on designs or functionality, different things of that nature. And the second question is, we really just want to broaden our net. We just want to make sure there are some customers that don't care to give their input, and there's a lot of customers that really want to give their input, right? Yep. And so the second question, we just wanted to simply ask if there's anyone that, if you want to raise your hand and just say like, I would love to schedule time with Todd or someone on my product team to maybe give my input or give, some sort of feedback. That's kind of what we're looking for. That isn't a guarantee. Like, it's not like Todd's going to call you tomorrow by any means, but we would love to broaden our net and just make sure that we're hearing as many customers as possible to make sure that we're covering our ground as much as possible. So
cool.
Yeah. So we'll give everyone a lot of great responses right here. I wonder, I haven't done one of these like polls before. I'm kind of curious what, okay.
It's like where it fits in priority.
Okay. I'm kind of curious.
I wonder if we want to post what we're seeing.
Yeah. I guess from what I'm seeing right now, it looks like, so this is priority 1, 34%, 32%.
They're almost in order. It's a little tight. If we were to say like first or second priority, managing appointments is probably the number 1 of a first or second priority.
Yeah.
And then adding files is the second priority.
Looks like it.
Out of office is third priority and kiosk is fourth.
Yeah, it's looking that way.
So
Cool.
very cool.
Perfect. So we'll give everyone just maybe 10 more seconds and then we'll go ahead and close this poll. And again, thank you so much for you guys' participation. This really, we want to have a very open and very strong relationship with our customers. And so thank you so much for participating. So.
Yep. And if you've been adding questions in chat or raising your hand, so we wanted to get through kind of the presentation part, but we're about to go into Q&A. So if you've been submitting questions and been asking questions, Meg may have been responding to you directly in the chat if a question was something she could answer directly. She's also been kind of monitoring the Q&A. So if you have been asking questions, we're ready to answer them.
Perfect. So yeah, so with that said, we're an open book. Like, please submit your questions. Please ask away whatever questions that you may have. It looks like the first question that's kind of coming in is about stability. Do you want to maybe talk about like what you guys are kind of working on the back end?
Yeah, absolutely. So specifically with the mobile app, I was going to pull up the stats, but just this week, we reported in our kind of performance report that we do internally that app crashes on iOS and Android are actually at an all-time low. So we track the number of crashes that happen in the app across iOS and Android, and we track it as a percentage and a count. So right now we have about 0.5% of sessions on iOS have a crash. So world class is like 0.1 or 0.2%. And Apple's guidelines are around like less than 1% is what you're shooting for app crashes. And we're at 0.5%. So we have work to do always, and we're always looking at our crash reports to improve them. But over the last month or so, there's been a pretty steady decline in crash reports. So we're excited about that.
Cool.
And we'll keep looking at it.
Yeah. Perfect. So kind of the next question came in. It looks like there's a couple about Instagram. So the first one, this kind of ties to our unified inbox in general. So maybe if you want to talk a little bit about Google, Facebook, and Instagram. But the question is, when messages come through Instagram, who do they go to? Does it go
this
to
is a
the
really
assigned
important one.
associate?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, this is actually across the board. So for Google, it's about your store. For Facebook, it's to your company generally. Like it could be to your store, but it might even be like your company. Instagram is often your company. And so these don't get assigned to individual associates. They show up in the store inbox. And we want to make sure that they go to the right person that you want to designate to do that. So I believe right now, unless this changed, only managers can like reply, I believe, but I could be wrong on that. But the thing I'm certain on is it doesn't get assigned to an associate. It goes to the store inbox. So yeah, they shouldn't go missing. They shouldn't be, routed to only one person. And it will be the same for Instagram, Google, and Facebook. For SMS and email and those kinds of things, those get assigned directly to associates.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you can filter by the different inboxes, right? So if you go into the store inbox and you say, I want to see all my Google reviews, you can click on the filter, see all your Google reviews, click on the filter, here's all my Facebook, here's all my Instagram messages. So we make it as easy as possible because, especially around, like, say, Mother's Day is right around the corner. That's going to be a really busy holiday for a lot of us. You don't want to lose out on those conversations. Using that filter tool will really help you stay organized.
I think that filter, I'm gonna have to double check, but I think that filter will come out with Instagram. But that is definitely the intent. So thanks for the question.
Cool. The next one, it's similar on Instagram, is asking about reporting. Is there going to be reporting around this type of activity around, I guess, Instagram specifically, or?
We will treat them as messages, inbound messages. Like in the reporting, you would see them as inbound. And if it isn't something you can filter on, I'll have to look into that. But they would be tracked like other messages.
Mhm.
So we would have stats on them.
Okay, cool. One question that kind of came up is about notifications about, oh, this is something we actually talked about the other day. Anyway, but notifications if there's basically if a message doesn't go through. In its current state, if you send a message, it does give you like a little error icon to say that
Right.
message wasn't delivered.
Yep.
But any other enhancements or notifications or thoughts around that?
It is something we're looking at. We've designed some things there and looked at the error codes that come from the texting providers. But no specific timeline on that one. But it's in our, we've spent actually a ton of time on notifications lately. This unread message notification is just the last of like a dozen, half a dozen notification enhancements that we've made to improve letting you know when messages come in, when things are happening, and there's more to do. There's things to do around like payment links notifications that we want to enhance, and it's on the list, but I can't say when undelivered messages notifications would happen, but it's something that we're looking at.
Cool. So one question that came in, is there a way to change who can reply to managers and admins?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
When I was saying who can reply. Yeah, I'm glad you clarified. So when I say manager, I actually mean managers and admins. So yeah, yes, that is already the case.
Perfect.
Cool.
And then this question kind of came in. So if Facebook messages are applied on Facebook app instead of Clientbook, can we see that activity?
I believe that we pull all messages for the thread. So like if you have conversations happening with customers, we get notified when there's a new message, whether that's you or someone else. So I believe so, but help us test that. And if that's not the case, let's make it the case.
Perfect. So with that said, it looks like those are all the questions that came through. Thank you again so much for you guys' participation. I know there's probably going to be some follow-up questions. There's going to be follow-ups from your dedicated CSM. So be on the lookout. We will make sure to follow up with you individually if there's any follow-up questions that we need to follow. Yeah, I'm saying follow-up.
Follow up, yeah.
The initiative right now is following up with you. But we look forward to connecting with you and working with you and bringing these offerings, to all of our users. And thank you again so much for joining us, and hope you guys have a great Wednesday.
Yep. See you next time.